Hello, my name is Daria and I am a veterinarian. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic that concerns both veterinarians and pet owners. It's about brushing your pet's teeth at home. We will discuss which toothbrush is best to choose and whether you should use toothpaste. If you should, then which kind. And of course, we will talk about and demonstrate how to properly brush your pet's teeth using our dog as an example. Let's start by talking about why we need to brush their teeth in the first place. Well, there are a lot of microorganisms in the oral cavity of pets, and if we don't remove them, they stay on the teeth and eventually turn into tartar, which brings with it a lot of problems. And of course, brushing the teeth, specifically mechanical cleaning at home, helps us deal with this problem. But it's important to keep in mind that we can only brush the teeth at home for pets whose oral cavity is in good condition. That's why before starting this process, you should consult a veterinary specialist for a simple checkup. They will tell you if the teeth are healthy, if the gums are not causing any discomfort, and from that point on, you can begin the training process. However, if you notice at home that your pet's gums are not pale pink but red, or if pressing on them causes any pain or discomfort, then in this case, we postpone toothbrushing and once again consult a veterinary specialist. At what age can we start training our pets? If we have a puppy, we should wait until it is 3 months old, and at that point, we can start getting it used to toothbrushing. If we have an adult dog, there is no need to delay. We take a toothbrush and toothpaste in hand and then begin the process of getting the pet accustomed to having its teeth brushed. Another important point is that many pets have certain predispositions to the formation of dental plaque. For example, if we are talking about small dog breeds, their teeth are quite crowded together. If we are talking about brachycephalic breeds, their muzzles are naturally short, but they have the same number of teeth as dogs with an average length muzzle. That's why such breeds require special care and attention. This brings us to the question of how often teeth should be brushed. Most often, when we talk about brushing teeth, we mean the same frequency as for humans, that is, twice a day. But let's be honest, no one brushes their pet's teeth that often, and we say that it should be done at least 3 times a week. This frequency will be sufficient if your pet has an average-sized muzzle, or if you have a large or medium-sized dog. But if you are the owner of a small dog, such as a Maltipoo, Yorkie, or Spitz, then you should really consider brushing your pet's teeth every day. And of course, by the time you start getting your pet used to toothbrushing, if your pet already has tartar, then you should definitely begin with an ultrasonic dental cleaning. No brush, no special gels, nothing will help you get rid of tartar. Tartar, in turn, of course, brings with it a lot of consequences, which we will discuss a little later. And of course, in order to prevent them, you first need to bring the oral cavity into perfect order. We make an appointment with a veterinary specialist. The specialist then performs an ultrasonic dental cleaning under anesthesia, which is also a very important process because a proper ultrasonic cleaning involves a multi-step procedure and afterwards requires polishing the teeth. If this polishing of the teeth is not done, small scratches remain, there are ongoing gum problems, and tooth sensitivity increases. This can lead to severe pain and eventually even refusal to eat. Sometimes owners don't even notice this detail if they take their pets for ultrasonic cleaning, for example, to a grooming salon where the procedure is done only superficially. But sometimes this still leads to injuries and again results in unfortunate consequences. That's why we choose ultrasonic cleaning to be done in a veterinary specialist's office. First of all, let's talk about the toothbrush. Why is it important to focus on the brush, and why won't we talk as much about the toothpaste? Because mechanical tooth cleaning is first and foremost about the physical impact on the teeth. We can only act on the teeth with a brush, nothing else. That's why it's important to choose a brush with a full understanding of your pet, their gum sensitivity, and based on the length of their snout, which brush we should select. In this case, we will talk about the types of brushes and finger brushes that are widely available and sold everywhere, so that you can understand which option is best to choose. There are a large number of toothbrushes on the market, both veterinary and human, adult and children's brushes. And let's start perhaps in order. Let's talk about the brushes that are not suitable and those that may be suitable for our pets. First of all, finger brushes. They are all different from each other. There are finger brushes that are generally suitable for getting your pet used to toothbrushing, and there are some that are not suitable at all. This is because many finger brushes have bristles that are too short, and the bristles are spaced quite far apart. Such finger brushes will not affect dental plaque in any way, and if you press too hard, they can even injure the gums. As for children's toothbrushes, they are too soft, and this particular brush, as you can see, has a textured surface. In general, we do not choose textured brushes for our pets. Moreover, in addition to plastic parts, this brush also has rubber elements. Rubber elements are easily chewed by pets' teeth, so they are not suitable, as a pet can simply bite through such a brush. As for veterinary brushes, you also need to be careful with them. There are brushes on the market that have several heads, double and triple-headed brushes. They are designed to clean teeth from all sides at the same time. Well, first of all, for cats and dogs, it is not necessary to clean the inner side of their teeth. The tongue does a great job of that. If we remove plaque from the outer side, we don't need to worry about the inner side. Everything will be fine. Secondly, such a dense arrangement of brush heads means that we will be gripping the tooth tightly and may damage the enamel and gums. That's why we also set these brushes aside and do not choose them for cleaning our pets' teeth. As for the electric toothbrush that we have here right now, it actually has rather soft bristles and a very good density, but again, we see a textured surface. In addition, the electric toothbrush itself is quite bulky. We need to choose a brush with a thinner handle so that we can hold it with our fingers. This makes it easier for us to control the amount of pressure we apply. Moreover, such brushes are extremely noisy and can scare many pets. Let's move on to the brushes that are suitable for our pets. Take a look at the blue brush. In this case, it has a long handle, a smooth surface, and good density. Such a brush is suitable for both large and small pets, if we are talking about a smaller brush head. And accordingly, a single tufted brush is perfect for pets with crowded teeth. That is, these are small dog breeds and brachycephalic breeds, those whose teeth are crowded because their muzzles are naturally small. Of course, finger brushes, we don't completely set them aside either. This option is suitable if we don't have gauze or don't want to use it when getting our pet used to toothbrushing. It's not necessary to choose a brush with bristles all around 360 degrees. You can use a one-sided brush. Pay attention specifically to the bristle height and the density of the tuft. We've now settled on the choice of toothbrushes. Now let's move on to choosing toothpaste. This is much simpler. When it comes to choosing toothpaste, we absolutely do not consider human toothpaste. Let me explain why. Any human toothpaste will contain xylitol. Xylitol is extremely toxic for animals as it can quickly lower blood sugar and of course has a toxic effect on the liver. Therefore, let's immediately consider veterinary toothpastes. Here too, there are some points to pay attention to. First of all, there are toothpastes that are not suitable for everyone. They contain triclosan. It also has quite a negative effect on the gastrointestinal tract. But if your pet has a history of conditions such as gastritis or enteritis, that is what we now call sensitive digestion, these toothpastes should not be considered for dogs that already have these issues. If we're talking about cats, we should avoid toothpastes that contain propylene glycol because with frequent use, it can affect blood cells. Enzymatic toothpastes are quite popular now. They are indeed worth considering, but there is one nuance. Manufacturers claim that these enzymatic toothpastes can be applied to the teeth without any brushing at all, and that this alone will be enough to remove dental plaque. This is absolutely not true. It's important to remember that we can only remove dental plaque through mechanical cleaning. So if you have to choose between toothpaste or a toothbrush, the toothbrush is definitely more important. It is not absolutely necessary to use toothpaste. Even during the training period, we recommend using miramystin or simply wetting the toothbrush with water. This will be sufficient. However, toothpaste can serve as your assistant. It really does make it a bit easier to remove dental plaque from the teeth. Therefore, it is worth paying attention to those options that do not contain xylitol, ethanol, artificial antioxidants, or propylene glycol. Such toothpaste will be safe for your pet and can be used without worry. What should you do if your pet somehow ends up eating human toothpaste? If this happens just once, there is no need to panic. Call a veterinary specialist, explain the situation, and most likely the veterinarian will advise you to observe your pet. Be sure to follow their instructions and monitor your pet's condition. If your pet suddenly refuses to eat or becomes lethargic or unwell, these could be signs of intoxication. In such a case, you should immediately contact a veterinary clinic. We try to keep human toothpaste away from pets, although in most cases they aren't very interested in it, but just in case. Now let's talk about how we can support oral health without using a toothbrush and toothpaste. If we have an aggressive pet and it really is quite difficult to brush their teeth, then we try to maintain oral health by other means. Currently, there are products on the market that contain the seaweed ascophyllum. What is its effect? It can influence the pH of saliva and thus reduce the number of microorganisms. In addition, it affects the proteins that microorganisms use to attach to tooth enamel, and in this way, ascophyllum seaweed can influence the formation of dental plaque. Besides this, there is omega-3 omega-3. What does omega-3 do? It affects inflammatory processes in the body, most often chronic low-grade inflammation. This is exactly what gingivitis is. Therefore, using omega-3 together with ascophyllum seaweed allows us to take quite good care of oral health. Nevertheless, this in no way replaces mechanical toothbrushing and ultrasonic cleaning at the veterinarians, at the dental specialists. And please note, we actually have such a product in our line. It's called O2 Pets Platinum. It contains fructooligosaccharides. These are prebiotics. They help influence the gut microflora, and this allows us not only to affect the oral cavity, but also the bacteria that are in the intestines. And that means we can reduce bad breath. But again, this is the kind of bad breath that is not related to dental diseases. Therefore, you can consider this option to help take care of your pet's oral cavity. And in addition, omega-3 also supports skin and coat health. And of course, chronic diseases in the body can occur absolutely anywhere. This provides overall support for the body and helps the gastrointestinal tract. We have discussed everything related to choosing a toothbrush and toothpaste, how to assess the condition of your pet's oral cavity, when to start getting them used to toothbrushing, when it's time to consult a veterinary specialist for an ultrasonic cleaning, and of course, how else we can help your pet in cases where mechanical cleaning is difficult. And next time we will talk about the proper technique, how exactly to get your pet accustomed to it, and of course, we will demonstrate on our wonderful dog how to brush your pet's teeth.